intern that was in this class last fall, and he's here now. So we've hired quite a few interns out of this program. This is kind of our standard. We have interns in the fall, spring, and summer. So we do have some that roll over if they do well. Have been in more than one semester, but we do have usually 2 interns up to 3 at a time. We have one that's kind of cyber focused. We've kind of this is the first time we've gone to the cyber club, which is also he's the leader of cyber club. So same kind of connection there. So if you want to be in cyber, you should go cyber club because you need that on your resume. Yeah.
Is it Andy?
Andy's president of cyber club. Yeah.
That's who your intern is?
No. So we have a cyber intern. We also have a IT general intern, which Sam is. The cyber intern's actually in class right now, so he couldn't come. And we have had a 3rd intern. We will this summer, but it's more of a manufacturing engineer type thing because I'm moving back into that role a little bit, taking over some of that stuff. From a company standpoint, we do make inhalation. We don't make inhalers, so it's slightly different. We make the so the meter dose inhaler is what you think about when you push down. That's called an MDH, meter dose inhaler, MDI. What we make is nebulizers. So we have the twist top caps, and you put it in the nebulizer. You put the mask over, and you inhale the mist. That's what we make. We make probably 80–90% of the U.S. Market for nebulized medications. So we're in Columbia. We're kind of a small footprint because our equipment doesn't take up a lot of space. We make probably 89%, like I said, of the U.S. We do make eye drops. That was true. Ear drops are so minimal. We do make ear drops, but that's such a small bit of our product. But we have optic. Eye drops is a pretty big thing. Mainly dry eye. If you've seen, dry is like a huge thing right now. It's there's so many dry eye medications coming out. We make Xydra. That's one of the big ones. We've got a few things coming out. We have a product coming out later this year, early next year for presbyopia, which is effectively put eye drops in. It's like putting on reading glasses. So it improves your sight. 2 lines on the reading chart for up to 6–8 hours. Then you blink it away. So that should be coming out late this year, early next year. So we're big in really in eye and also nebulized medications. We have about 600 employees, close to 500–600. We grow fast. We obviously have the internal show. What he's doing, it's a big building we're launching. It's supposed to be open. We got occupancy. I think we just got occupancy permit, so we should be going in there soon. So he's doing the build out of that. From a, I guess, infrastructure standpoint, I'll answer any questions you have in a few minutes. But basic infrastructure, we're Cisco shop. As most are, we have Cisco firewalls throughout. There's similar Palo Alto. We have added Fortinets. We're playing with those now as a side project. Our what industry has started doing. So I spent the first half of my career unifying the network, right? Putting everything on one network and trying to combine everything, putting everything we had on a network. Then all of a sudden ransomware came up. So then you started trying to separate networks as much as you could to segregate your risk. And what we've just started doing this year, we've never done before, as kind of a new trend, is to put firewalls, segmentation firewalls throughout the facility. So at each of our manufacturing line now, we're starting to test putting firewalls to because we really don't want those to get ransomware. So if we get ransomware in the facility, we don't want it to get to certain things. The lab is segmented off on its own network. For example, it connects to the internet like 2 hours a day just to push backups is all it does. So it connects to the internet, push backups and turns back off. So that's we're standard shop. We have Cisco UCS servers. We have 6 servers, almost a terabyte of memory. With Pure Sand, we have Darktrace, the AI tool that there's really our security piece. It learns what your laptop does, so it learns exactly what you do on a day-to-day basis, and it learns it by port. It's a network device, so it sees what port your computer uses, sees what time your computer's on the network. It sees what types of things you do. Anything you do different is triggered as an anomaly, and it tracks that. And if you do too many things that are anomalous, it will shut down your connection. An example: we had somebody come in with a virus. It noticed their computer was doing things on a port it had never used before. It shut that port down. The computer's still operable. Person had no idea anything happened, and it flagged us. They went and got the laptop and ran a virus scan on it. So that's a pretty cool tool. I think we're the only company in South Carolina that has it because it's relatively expensive, but that's a pretty cool tool. But I'll let the intern come up, Sam, talk a little bit about what he's done. I think he's actually got a presentation with pictures, and then I'll say a few more things and I'll answer any questions you have. Like I said, he was in this class last fall. So he's still a little nervous. So I understand nervous. Oh.
Yeah, I am nervous to talk about this, but yeah, I was in this class last fall, and I just wanted to show a couple of the things that I've done. I took some pictures this morning to show it all, and so here you go. Here's a couple of the things I've done. You can see that's the server room for the new building. It's 350,000 plus square foot building I'm working in, and you can see the server room there. It has a core switch, a firewall, wireless controllers, a bunch of that type of stuff. All these things are things that I didn't really know much about before I came to Rite Dose. Then after that, I mean, I helped set up a lot of these things, set up some of them myself, and then that's been a lot of fun just doing that type of stuff. You can see, and then above that, you can see the actual like layout of the building. You can see the wireless access points. That's something else I work a lot with. That's what the wireless controllers connect to be able to manage them through that. And that's been a lot of fun to work with. You know, it's like I have to test all of them there in the building. There's like 41 throughout the whole building, testing all those. That's been fun. Then the IDF itself there, in the top right, there are 7 of those inside of the entire warehouse, and each one of those has its own switch, which needs to be configured. And then those connect back to the main server room to help spread out the Wi-Fi throughout the entire building with the wireless access points. And that's also been something I've set up.
Oh, quick question. Last year when he came in, he brought a female that actually laid out the structure of the new building. Is this the same building that
Yes.
you're now doing?
This is the same building, yes.
So they started from scratch. Our student who came, he hired, and so she laid it out. She hired the people or actually interviewed the people of what equipment should go in, and now he's actually installing the equipment and running. So they went from nothing, just a bare building, to all of this, and Sean's actually having our intern build this building for right now.
Yeah, the other intern before me, Daniel, he was here last year. He was the one that he talked to all the vendors, he ordered all of the parts, did the research on the parts. He's the one that made that blueprint above the server room there. So he also did a lot of stuff. You get to do a lot of really cool things that I think a lot of internships don't really have for you. I know Sean always tells the story of whenever his intern was just printing out paper for like 4 or 5 months. That's all he did. And I mean, that's what makes this experience really special is that you really go out there and I mean, I'm doing all this stuff here that, I mean, I feel like just most internships don't get to do. So that's been a lot of fun to do that. And then the other guy right there, that's Eric. That's the security intern. He was the one that was doing what Sean was talking about. He's setting up a firewall there, and he's doing it for the below field seal machines, the machines to separate the network and all that. That's what he's been working on right now. And then down here, here's an actual picture of the building. This is what it looks like. Obviously it's huge. I had to walk across this building multiple times every day. And I get to be on the scissor lift, which is also a lot of fun, which I didn't know how to use before I did this. And setting up the switches, doing all that type of stuff. It's been a lot of fun, and I've really learned a lot from this internship. But yeah, that's it.
So kind of clarify what he said. So we had a building built, we had an intern in the fall. His job was to lay out a plan. So he did the access point layout design, he did the camera layout where they were going to be. He had a little tool kind of to draw what each camera would cover to make sure everything's covered correctly. He contacted cabling vendors, talked to cabling vendors, made sure all that was done on time, did the quoting, did the quotes for that. And then he managed, when he left in December, they were starting to run cabling, all right? So he comes in December, spends a week with the other intern, they kind of passed off, it just worked that way. So then his job now is to take it, so the cabling was finished like 2 weeks ago, I think a week ago. So it took a while. So then his job now, so we're on fiber backbone, right? And we have Ethernet going to everything else. So obviously your fiber goes to the server room to each of the IDFs, as he said, you have a switch there that terminates the fiber, right? And then it comes out of that Ethernet. He has to configure the switches, so there's 7 of those to configure. Coming out of those, you can make the access points. There's 41 in there. He has to figure all the access points, make sure they work, test them all. Also coming out of those switches will be the cameras. So they're supposed to be installing the exterior cameras this week, right? Or next week. So they'll be installing exterior. So he'll have to test all the cameras, make sure that the DVRs are working correctly, make sure it's covering everything needs to be covered. So he actually then at that point, functionally, we kind of have what we need. Then he has to go through and set up all the offices, set up all the printers, set up all the copiers, and to get the building usable, right? So we don't even go over there, like he kind of manages, it's kind of his job to take care of everything in the new building. It is different. I'll say that I approach interns different. He can agree to this, attest to this. Like I treat them like employees. I don't treat them like interns. It's really good for people because if you're a self-starter and you really want to learn and do stuff, it's amazing. I've had interns that hated it, hated the day they walked in because they're like, "Where's my list?" Like one guy, he was a good intern, but he's like, he didn't like it because he didn't have a list to check off every day. Right? There's not a set daily schedule. I don't care where he's at or what he does. We don't keep track of him. He kind of runs his own schedule. He does what needs to be done, does what needs to be done, and does it. Right? We're not here to babysit people, but it's a totally different intern than another company. Right? I bring you in, if you're treated as an employee, and I feel like when you leave, that you're in a much different position than most other people because he knows this stuff. And that's what I keep telling him. He knows this stuff. Like when he sits down and interviews with somebody and says, I help, build out a building, they're kind of gonna roll their eyes at him, right? Because he's a college student. And then he's just gonna lay out, this is what I did, this is the cabling contractor I used, this is all the switches, this is exactly what I did. Like he's gonna know this stuff. And it's gonna be impressive when he interviews compared to somebody who is just talking out of what they learned in class. So it works for some people, doesn't work for some people. You kind of got to know who you are and what your style is, but it's a very hands-off type position. So what we're doing now, so this building is done. It's a massive, like 350,000 square foot building, huge. What we're going to do now is build a lab inside that building, right? So we're building a building in a building. So now we have occupancy. We're starting on the lab design. So his role now shifts to doing the layout designs of the lab, right? So he's got to do the designs of the access points and the camera systems in the lab and all that kind of stuff, what's going to be at the desk location and stuff. So now that once he gets this building usable and people using it, then he transitions to the lab designs and starts doing that with cameras and access points there. And then intern summer, probably next fall, would actually be doing the build out of the lab expansion and that doing the same thing he's doing now there. So we also have the cybersecurity. Really, that role is to work on 5 things. I always say 5 so I can remember. So he does firewall. He does dark trace, which dark trace kind of does itself, but that's kind of cool technology. It's XDR. He does Proofpoint, which is email phishing. So we do that. It's our email system. He does Qualys, which is vulnerability scanning. That's a big thing. And then he does Netrix, which is a cool tool for monitoring network. So that's kind of what we do. Any questions? It's a lot better if you ask questions and we answer your questions. Yeah.
So it's the dark secret system, the AI. How many situations have we been with false positives and stuff?
Dark trace. It doesn't have false positives. It can't, right? It just looks for anomalies, right? So, for example, if I log in at 3 a.m. tonight, it's going to say that's anomalous. So this isn't normal, right? So to flag it if something happened not normal. It'll let it go unless I do something. Unless I continue to do things that are anomalous, then it'll shut me down, right? So it has a little break. But what we have the opportunity to do is they'll come in the next day and see it, and then they can say accept or deny, right? And from that point forward, it won't trigger it anymore. So it learns. Only that one time I was trying to it's been a year or so, it's been a while before we really got a handle on it. I was trying to update our ERP, and I was trying to download the update files. It wouldn't let me, and it probably took 3 hours for us to figure out how to get it to let me because it was a large executable file, and it's like you can't download this. So that was an example that took, but there haven't been. It can't really do a false positive, right? It just looks for anomalous things. But it did trigger us one night that we had a 3-way hit from Russia, China, and Philippines, which is strange, right? So, and they were trying to hack into our network, and the exact same minute they all 3 hit us. Darktrace saw it, notified us. We logged in, kind of watched them, played around with a little bit, and kicked them out. But I mean so it sees stuff like that. It'll see anything that happens. Like there's literally nothing. If somebody tries to move a bunch of files off our network to their home drive, it will shut it down, let us know. So so it just always watches. It's like Big Brother. It always sees what's happening. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I was just curious, what phone system do you use?
We use Ubiquitys. That's what we use. We actually use Ubiquity Wi-Fi. I'm not a fan of Meraki. Most people use Meraki. What, Meraki or Ubiquiti? What have you been using?
Cisco Meraki.
Yeah, the problem, we're not really, Meraki's built to be able to manage on the cloud. So if we had sites all over the country, we would use Meraki, but our sites are in one little area, so we don't have that need. So we have an on-site controller that's not connected to the internet, so that we do all our controlling inside. So they're three facilities, but they're probably half mile apart. We don't worry about that, but that's the reason. But Ubiquiti, we're happy with them. We use they're really fast, and then we use cameras or
I know that you were, I forgot his name of the guy, but how often are you guys working collaborating with him? Like what, like you guys working hand in hand or is it more so like, I know you said it's like an often, but you know, I would say, it sounds like prioritizing critical thinking.
Are you working with the other intern?
Me and Eric, we don't really work together. He works on his project, I work on my project. Like we sit like right beside each other, so like we'll talk to each other and about the things that we work on. But most of the time, it's pretty much I work on my thing, he works on his thing, and we don't really like. He'll never come over with me to the building to help me set up switches. He doesn't really do that.
So it's an employee type engagement. That doesn't mean that you don't have assistants, right? So we meet weekly. The engineers are right there to help anytime there's a question come up. The idea is to you have as much leeway as you can handle, right? So if we do everything for you and show you exactly what to do, you don't learn anything, right? So, but we're there to help you any step along the way. But we want you to be able to grow as much as you can. A couple of things we do, just kind of popped in my head. I really push the interns to get certified. Funny, we've not had a single intern get certified. So I push you to get certified on Network Plus or Security Plus, right? So Network Plus they're both comp to you. Network Plus is a basic network one. So the problem you have to realize is when you send your resumes out, everybody's resume looks identical, right? They really are. So you need things that make you look different. You need things really that make you look like you have interest, right? So if you're applying for a cyber security job and you're not in the cyber club, that looks weird. Like, why would you not be in cyber club? You don't like cybersecurity, right? And then if you're in, if you graduate with a certification, then that just shows that you've gone above and beyond, right? So there's no reason not to. He's actually in Network Plus, right? He's trying to pass it or trying to get it done by the end of the year. Eric is in Security Plus. So what we do is there are times when you're really busy and times when you're not busy, right? When you're not busy at work, we want you to study for your certification. Like we want you to get certified. Like it's a two-way street. That's how you have to be interns. It's a two-way street. We're getting something out of you, right? We're getting work done maybe that we don't want to do or we don't have time to do. So you need to figure out what you're getting out of us. And it can't be pay. That's just so short-sighted, right? You need to go to a place that helps you really grow as a person, grow in the future. And one thing we really push you to do is leave our facility with a certification, because that's the greatest thing to have on your resume. Because I promise you, there won't be 2% of college resumes may have a certification.
And that's paid back to somebody.
Yes. Well, here's what we do. So there's a course you can sign up for on Udemy, and it's by Dion training. It's like $16. So you pay for the training, that way you take it with you. When you are ready to take it, we'll pay for the exam. It's like $400, $500 for the exam. So yes and no. So that way, if you don't pass it by the time you leave, you still have the class you can continue to study and take. But we'll pay for the exam. It's the expensive thing. But that's what it is. So he's doing the one, Eric's doing the Security Plus. Hopefully they pass it to date. We don't have any. Another thing we just started this year, we ask our interns we make them update their resumes with their Rite Dose job on it. And then we're going to do monthly mock interviews. So we do monthly mock interviews with the interns, and we're going to hammer you on the Rite Dose stuff, because this is what's going to stand out when you interview. We want to make sure you really understand what you did and can articulate it, right? Because if he can really articulate what he's done, he's going to get a job. You know, he's going to stand out because he's doing some crazy things. So that's two things we do to really help you, improve your standing when you go out to hire. Because our intent is for everybody that interns with us gets a job quickly. We want to be known as the place where if you go to Rite Dose and intern, you'll get jobs. Anybody else have questions?
So Sam, question. So presenting today was a little nervous, but I mean, the same thing, I'm having them come up as guest speakers, it's nervous. I mean, does it help to continue to practice getting in front of people? I mean.
Yeah, I'd say that what always helps me is practicing talking in front of people, and then also just making sure you know what you're talking about. Because like I have a pretty good grasp of what I talk about there, because I've been working on it a whole bunch. I've been working on it for like 3 months, so I understand what I'm talking about. But if I was just asked to come up here and talk about this stuff and I didn't know about it, then I would have been a lot more nervous. But I think that you're always going to be a little bit nervous whenever you get in front of people and talk. It's just kind of how it is. At least that's how I am, at least. So I try not to worry about it too much.
But he's keeping eye contact with. See that? So it's not just reading words.
Anybody else have questions?
About decisions where potentially there's interference with this all time.
That's our weakness. And the reason we don't is because we have zero turnover. So I like to think we're a great place to work. We have no turnover. I've been there 20-something years. I think Dewey's our main sysadmin. He's been there probably he's been close to 20 years. How long have you been here, Sammy? You're the shortest. How long you been there? 11 years, and he's our lead. So I mean, for IT, usually it's got a very short turnover time, 3.5 years. We've got people been there 11, 15, 20 years. So it's a great place to work. We typically don't have that. And it's the intent of the reason I do this program is that I have an intern training to step in if somebody were to leave, then an intern would be the obvious choice because they're trained on our stuff, they're trained on our systems, they're knowledgeable about our company. So that's the intent, is we have somebody there that's like a hot spare on a server ready to go if somebody were to leave. But typically we don't.
How many interns you hire a year?
We usually have 2 to 3 semester. It's a fall semester, spring semester, and then summer semester. So if you're interested in summer or fall, it's a paid internship. We're pretty, like I said, we're pretty lenient on time, what you can work. Once you work at least 24 hours a week is my preference, at least a couple full days. It doesn't do any good, it do us any good if you work 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. We won't, you gotta be there enough to really learn, because you're actually gonna have a job. Like, it's not gonna be, when you go there, find something to do. But yeah. Yeah.
Is it, along with the, isn't it gonna interact with what makes it well for you? Or, I mean, I'm sure it's, obviously you're working serious, but I mean, interact with
Like work with the other people in the department.
not necessarily, but.
I mean, I work a lot with the other people. What do you mean by interact?
Actually, I feel like you kind of answered my question. I think I'll answer that.
Okay, so
It is, we have fun. I feel like we have fun. We joke around a lot. So it's a situation I have had. So I say this all the time, if you mess up, you won't get in trouble, but you will be laughed at. You'll make fun, right? We joke, right? That's how we handle things. We just joke about things. It's not serious. Because nothing you do is really gonna shut us down. We're not gonna give you access to shut us down, right? So we'll laugh and joke and make fun of things. And I've had people that couldn't stand it. I had a guy quit because we were just laughing about something he did. But that's about, we don't take things too serious, right? You agree? Sometimes we just, but it's really it's a different place. It's so when I interview based off, as much as anything, because all y'all are equal, right? So I pretty much interview based off personality. I want somebody that's gonna have a good time, wants to learn something, wants to get in there and get busy and really just enjoys what they're doing. But somebody that really wants to learn IT and get involved in IT, that's what I look for. So resumes are big. Like I said, I did see an article on LinkedIn the other day. They was laughing and I laughed about it too. I love SQL, so I love SQL. That's one of my favorite things. I'm a SQL DBA, and everybody that I've ever been around the program has SQL on their resume. And the thing I saw on LinkedIn, it said every resume they ever get has SQL on it, and it said nobody knows it. It says if you can't write a view or store procedure, you shouldn't put on your resume. Right? So, but think about that concept, because whatever's on your resume they can ask. And I tell them when they update the resume, almost maybe have 2 sections. I think what you actually know and what you've been introduced to, right? Because if it's on your resume, it's their full right to dig into it. And I will. First thing I see SQL, I'm like, what are you doing? You write store procedures, you write views, what do you do? Give me an example of SQL statement, like, because that's my favorite thing. But yeah, it's complex. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm one of those list people you were talking about.
Yeah.
How do the interns know exactly what needs to be done, like who do they consider?
Well, let me give you an example. So let's say your first job. So we're doing a capstone next fall. So any of y'all in here that it's I don't know when it falls in your
What is the
career.
number that?
Well, I don't even know when that falls in your college career.
Oh, that's not.
Is that 564?
Have you already had it, not had it yet? Like, I don't know.
Okay.
So we're doing a capstone next fall. I think we're gonna do one for putting SD Wayne in the company, right? But let's say you go to company and they say, we don't have SD Wayne, right? So we don't have it. So we say, you come into, I say, we want you to implement SD Wayne. You can't come to us because we don't know anything about it, right? So all you can do is you can research it, you can call vendors, and we had actually person last fall. They did this, so they knew nothing about it. It was Andre knew zero. They didn't know the term SD Wayne, right? But she had to Google, contact the top vendors. She had vendor calls like 4 or 5 companies. She evaluated those, and she called us into meetings, and then she picked out the one she would go with and why she would go with it, and the project plan. And that was an example of like there is no checklist for that, right? You have to, and that's a real job. Like if I hire an entry level IT person, that's a job I might give them is I want to implement SD-WAN, you kind of figure it out, right? And so when you come in, you're doing a real job. I will never hire anybody and say, here's a checklist of 20 things. I want you to do this every day. Check these lists off every day. So, so the intent here is to really bring somebody in. Now, we were we backed up as much as possible. Any questions you had, we did. We were always there in meetings. We could have done it. It's not like we couldn't have done it. We just gave her the opportunity to do it. And she did a really good job. And she spoke last fall. And she just went through SD-WAN like this. Right. It was pretty incredible how she went through it. Like she was an expert on it. And when she started, she didn't know it existed. So that's an example of, but yeah, it's not a checklist type thing. Like he's got to do this building. It's just got to be done. Like, I don't care if he does the workstations or the access points or the cameras first. I don't care when he does it or how long it takes. Just make your own schedule and do it. And that's what he does. He knows what needs to be done. If there's a problem, he escalates. If there's not a problem, he moves forward. And
Is there a deadline date?
The end of the month.
Huh?
The end of the month. For
In
me,
the
at least,
February,
that's
yeah.
when I define.
in February. Anybody else?
Do you have time for one-on-ones and sidebars if they came up and say?
Yeah, we'll be over here. So if he wants to go ask questions or so
If they're interested,
send a
you
resume
have
to Miller S.
opportunities right now, they need to email you. and-
Yeah, email Miller S your resume. It'll be so we need interns for the summer. A general IT intern and then a cyber intern. And then we need interns for next fall. So so if you're available for any of those, send me your resume. All right.
Well, thank you guys.